having a preliminary check. A check for the eggs of a butterfly that I came to look for last year here at Cotgrave Forest. And I came pretty much this time of year, early in 2024, to look for eggs of the Brown Hairstreak. Now, Cotgrave Forest is becoming quite well known as a site of a number of releases of butterflies. Silverwash artillaries here, that may be a little bit suspect. Brown Hairstreak is definitely suspect, and more recently Black Hairstreak has turned up. It's also the home of Purple Emperor, and there's sort of two arguments or parties either way. Some think it's wild and some think that it's definitely released. It's wild and has been wild for a number of years. There may well have been some supplementary releases, but the Purple Emperor is spreading northwards through the UK as we speak. But it's the Brown Hairstreak that I've come for today, because although I found eggs last year, I want to know, or try and find out, if it's holding its own and is still breeding here. The best way to do that is to go and look for the eggs. I'm not aware of reports of any adults from 2024, but if we can find some eggs, then we'll know it's doing okay. It's a glorious afternoon. Absolutely beautiful again. But slightly cooler than the last couple of days. But the Brown Hairstreak in Nottinghamshire as a butterfly, it's never occurred, as far as we know, in a wild state. It's always been the subject of releases, and some releases we know about and others we don't. And it was certainly released in the Duke's Wood and Dillinger Wood a number of years ago, I think about 2005, and at least one adult was seen at the time, but it's never been seen since. And Dillis and I looked for it, and I continue to look for it every time I visit the Duke's Wood or the Duke's Wood area. The other known site, apart from Cotgrave Forest here, is just over the border in Derbyshire at Plesley Pit Top, and there the butterfly is thriving. Hopefully here at Cotgrave it's equally as thriving, but maybe not. Maybe last year's poor year for butterflies has had an effect on the species here. We'll find out. First of all, need to try and find some eggs. Well, come a bit further into Cotgrave Forest, and about 10 yards from where I'm stood here, I found one egg on this side of the track. It was on some young sort of scrubby or suckering growth, and that's what Brown Hairstreak females tend to lay on. They tend not to bother, at least from what I've seen, with the older, taller and scrubbier growth. So there's a bit of that here, and then further down there's some more, and hopefully the area where I found the three last year is still the same and has not been cut. We wait and see. You never know whether anything is the same from one year to the next, but hopefully we can find an egg. And the best policy I've always found is, if you want to go and find something again, go back to where you last saw it. If you think that looking for the eggs of butterflies is like looking for a needle in a haystack, well, to an extent I suppose it is, but if you know roughly where to look, the best material to look and how to look, you considerably increase your chances. And one of the easiest ways I find of looking for Brown Hairstreak eggs is to look down the chute like this, because most of the time the eggs will be laid at the joint, on the upper side of the joint. So if you can look sort of down that chute there, then quite easy to see the tiny white eggs. They do stand out. Sometimes they can be a little bit discoloured through algae growth, but nothing on that one. But they are quite easy to see. You just need to look in the right place. Got one, which is brilliant news, because it means that the butterfly, despite low numbers of most butterflies last year, still here in numbers enough to breed. Let's have a look at the egg. Well, here's the egg. Hoping that the camera doesn't go out of focus, but this is typically sited at the joint there, the main stem. This is not a particularly large stem, and it's about 3 to 4 feet off the floor, and just at the joint where the stem comes down and this side shoot comes off. That's typically where you will find the eggs of brown hairstreak, and quite often where there's one, there's usually maybe another one or two close by, because the females tend to land on this type of foliage. I'll show you the situation in a minute or two, and they will wander around looking for that suitable place which they prefer to lay eggs. So if you find one brown hairstreak egg, look for more close by. Brilliant that I found one. I'm chuffed with that. Well worth the drive down here, and I know that the butterfly is doing okay. Well, the egg is just here. Maybe at some time all of this suckering growth from a blackthorn hedge at the back here at the side of the track will be cut down. It's encroaching outwards, but it provides the perfect egg laying habitat for brown hairstreaks. A few yards just down here last year I found the 3 eggs. So pleased to have found at least one. I'm going to look for some more. Marvellous. They made my day. Well, I found a second right on the edge of this almost or outward growth of blackthorn. It's a very obvious one here. We'll have a look at it in a minute, but this is the kind of growth that you want to be looking on. Growth which is, well, probably 3 or 4 years old now, to be honest. Quite sturdy growth, where the main shoot is up to about 1 centimetre or just slightly less in thickness, and off that there are lots of little side shoots. They're ideal. Brilliant to find a second. And here's that second egg tucked in that joint. This one is the first joint down actually off the main stem, and the egg is about 1 millimetre in diameter. Beautifully sculpted, exposed like this. The caterpillar overwinters fully formed in the egg, I believe, and then hatches out quite early in the year. So we have a second egg. Well, this growth is right at the side of where that second egg is, and this is the ideal kind of growth that I found for looking for the eggs of brown hairstreaks. It's about 8 millimeters in diameter, this main stem, and then you've got these offshoots, lots of offshoots like that coming off the stem at 90 degrees. It's perfect. This is the kind of situation you want to be looking on. See if we can find any more while we're here. And of the eggs that I've found, the brown hairstreaks from both this site at Cotgrave Forest and at Plesley Pit Top, the egg laying site is pretty much about at chest height. Can be a little bit lower, and can be on isolated plants too. But you want scrub growth or suckering growth such as we have here. Well, we've got a third egg. This one a little bit higher at head height. It's just tucked in there. This is the exact spot where I found eggs beginning of last year. We're managing the site, and largely the site is all private, and certainly where I am it's technically private. But it's so easy for this to be suddenly cut back, and it renders the butterfly with nowhere to lay its eggs in the immediate vicinity, or nowhere that it would like to. So important that this suckering growth is maintained. I'm happy with 3 eggs. Can I find a 4th? Well, as you can see, the answer to the question I posed was indeed yes, and we have 2, so we have 5 eggs. That one is perfectly healthy, and the joint there near is my thumb, but then you can see this other one, and you may well be able to see that this one looks as though it hatched and is one of last year's eggs. Could have been parasitised. Either way, we have another 2 eggs. Again, this is on growth right on the edge of this stand of blackthorn, so we have 5 eggs. Well, the trip down here to Cotgrave Forest in search of what is an absolutely beautiful butterfly has been rewarded. 5 eggs. If I hung around any longer, maybe searched a bit more of the forest in suitable locations, I dare say, find more eggs. But this site, again under the power lines here, has again proved that the butterfly is doing well. And technically, if you go by the number of eggs I found today compared to what I found last year, it's doing better than ever. Although 2024 for many butterflies was indeed a picture of doom and gloom, there is evidence behind me that suggests that a number of species are well on the way back.